What's poppin', everybody? It's the Saber94. I'm gonna show you guys my version for Roaring Moon GX, or Ancient Salamence as I like to call them. So much different from the standard builds that I see using Pokestop and what have you. I've made some changes since the last match that I've shown. In the end, I had to take out the Darkrai V-Star. It's just too slow for this deck, even though the benefit is really good when you can get like another switch or another dark patch with this effect. Is good and is an additional attacker, as I've said in the video. That's good, but it's just too slow. It's just much more effective to have Luminion V from what I realized, so you can always get the supporter bit from your deck that gives you the welder energy acceleration. Plus we can just put a tablet stone on this and we still get that V-Star. So it's not that bad, and this is similar to how when I used to make those welder decks with Silver GX, you get that draw power. We don't have that here, like not even the barrel. But make sure you get that welder supporter. What the hell is her name? I don't even remember. Professor Sada's Vitality. Okay, you get this bitch, which is welder basically in this deck. So yeah, just 10 basic Pokemon. I dropped the Manaphy as well. It's not really that necessary, and made space for this dude, Cyclizar. But let me just not jump all over the place. Let's start with the basics. Main Pokemon we're going to take advantage of is this Roaring Moon EX. It's kind of popular. The deck does have a lot of potential. It has a bunch of things going for it, this card, and not too many drawbacks. Maybe it's because the game sort of gives you a bunch of them in the beginning that people are using it. I don't know. But since I figured I gotta place it, might as well try it as well. It's got good HP for a standard basic EX. The grass weakness is the same as Charizard, so that's fine. Double retreat sort of standard, and 2 attacks, both costing 3 energy. So the one that stands out is the frenzied gouging. If you use this attack, you basically get a 1-hit KO on anything, just instant knockout. Like with Gengar, Mimikyu GX, those sort of effect attacks. And you do 200 damage to yourself. Now, the goal is you want to do this to kill something like a stage 2 EX like Charizard, or just something that you know you're going to have trouble dealing with a lot of energies. Maybe a VMAX like I showed with the last match against the Pikachu. That was pretty sweet. So something like that, you really reap the benefit. And make sure you do this when this guy can survive. So your opponent gets a big attack or whatever attack off to kill it off. You don't die in your turn. And at the end of the game, I guess you can do this and die too. Maybe force draws. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen with this card in the future. Cards that force draws usually don't last too long from what I realized from Yu-Gi-Oh! Ring of Destruction. But anyway, it's a great attack. The drawback is significant. But, you know, the reward is pretty huge too. You do this at the right time. And we got another attack we can work with anyway. We don't gotta just go extreme with that. Calamity Storm, you do 100 for 3. That's kind of ass. And then you do 120 more if you discard a stadium. Could be yours, could be your opponent. Now, this is a decent chunk. It's in that range where it's gonna kill other basic EXs and Vs, I guess, 220. You can kill what's it called, Chen Power X in one shot, and that's good. We're gonna have a bunch of stadiums to make sure we get this plus, and usually your opponent might have a few stadiums. If they see this dude, they're probably not gonna be playing the stadiums. But that's it. This is the guy we take advantage of. The other attackers, there's really nobody else. It's just this guy at 4. I got the one Galarian Moltres still for Malevolent Charge. This could be a good Pokemon. Maybe mid to late game regular Pokemon too, as opposed to using more OHKO, which is just a weak ass Pokemon that just does 70 damage for 2 darkness energy, and then you can move those to a different Pokemon. This dude, and then the Among Us called Brood Bonnet, they're gonna do the job as my regular Pokemon here. We don't run any Colognes. These guys are gonna do the trick. So yeah, Moltres, you know, even as a revenge Pokemon, even if your opponent is down to just 2 prize cards left, it's not going to do that much. 220, If you can do like 270, it's better, but it's rare your opponent is going to be down on one prize and then you're going to use this. But I got this as opposed to more OHKO. Now this dude, I did say in the set review that he's kind of ass, and he is, but it's kind of difficult how to describe this card. It's ass, but at the same time we need it. It's a regular Pokemon. It's an ancient Pokemon from this sort of archetype, so I got another target to put Darkness Energies on with Professor Sada's Vitality. And, you know, the Toxic Powder, I guess if you put like the tool on it, it has 180 HP, that's still shit, but it's going to be good against maybe things like Sableye. It's going to be a little bit better. And if you run into decks like Goldengo, you use this to get to discard extra energies, you know, it's that sort of thing. And, you know, 120, it's alright. I mean, it's a regular Pokemon, something to kill. Wall Mimikyu if you run into them, just something. I mean, just kill smaller dudes like, I don't know, Cramorant if you play against Confi decks, that sort of thing. Anyway, and then Greninja, Radiant Pokemon of choice. This is pretty standard. We need this to discard and draw, get Darkness Energies in the discard pile. I don't have way too many discard outlets in this deck, sadly. I don't even run, you know, Professor Researchers, but I'll get to that later. So this dude, your standard Radiant Pokemon, is the best. Don't try anything else. And Cyclizar. Now this might seem like a strange choice now that we got Cleffa that gives you free retreat, gives you a draw attack that you don't even have to attach energy. So here's why this guy is in instead. He has 110 HP, which means that against opposing Salamence, Roaring Moon, whatever, they have to discard a Stadium to kill him. They definitely don't want to use the frenzied gouging attack. So if I got this, I've opened with it. I got it as a free retreating Pokemon. It helps in this deck when we just want to use Dark Patch and shit. It's gonna act like Cleffa. He's got that free retreat, but it's got better HP. Attaching an energy to draw 2, it's not too bad, even though it's not free like Cleffa. And even though Cleffa is going to give you a lot of cards if you got a low hand, if you got a big hand, this guy's still going to give you cards. It doesn't have the limitation. And then the other reason, what was the other reason? I forgot. But I mean, yeah, Cleffa has such low HP. Oh, right, Sableye. Against Sableye, if you run into that, at least Sableye has to put a lot of damage counters to just kill this guy and then get another one or something else. But if you have Cleffa, then they get to kill that and then put a bunch of damage counters elsewhere too. So it's the HP. It's a big difference. And even things like Charmander. I mean, Charmander, it can kill Cleffa too. So that's the thing. Rather have this guy. And we don't always want to just use his attack to draw anyway. So these are the Pokemon. Now for the trainers, we got a lot of them, but that's because we run a lot of tech stuff like tools and shit. Standard things, I guess I talk about the balls. 4 nest balls and then 4 ultra ball. Discard outlet, the best way to get Luminion in hand so we can get a supporter, that kind of thing. And then that's pretty much it. I got triple earthen vessel. Pretty much made this card to work with Salamence. It's good in other decks too, but using this, it gives us a discard outlet and gives us a way to grab Darkness Energies in hand. So we can discard them with Greninja, Ultra Ball, get those mana attachments in the deck, that sort of thing. So I got this, I guess. I mean, besides Ultra Ball and Greninja, this is a good discard outlet as well. So not bad. And then I max out the Dark Patches. This is kind of standard. You use this to power up your Darkness dudes, especially because I don't do Darkrai V-Star. I don't have... in the beginning, I even tried... I was going to try this deck with Galarian Moltres V and then a bunch of energy switches. And then I realized, you know what? I'm running the numbers. Might as well just put a Darkrai V-Star line, a 2-2-1, a 2-2 line, and then it's just going to do the same thing. So even that didn't really work out so much. Maybe I should have tested with the deck more. But I got it like this now. So max out the Dark Patch. We don't want to be discarding these. And we don't want to be discarding our tools, this Ancient Booster Energy Capsule. So this is one of the things that Salamence has going for it here. You put this, even if you don't use like the gouging attack, with that tool, this guy basically becomes a 290 basic Pokemon that can do 220. So that's pretty nice. You power him up fast with the Dark Patches and then the Professor Sada. And it's a solid Pokemon with large HP. That's just a basic EX. It's not even a stage 1 or stage 2. So this is pretty good. You won't be affected by special conditions, that sort of thing, which they sort of made a combo with this dude. The poison, I guess, I mean, you do 230, then it's another sort of magical number to kill things. But it's just there to boost our HP. Pretty good. And just something for me to draw to add with Town Store. And the Arven here, as opposed to using Irida. If I'm using this, I can get like an item and then get a tool, get the tablet so we can get another card. We got the Luminions, might as well. We get that V-Star effect. Pretty nice. Alright, what's left? I mean, I got the one switch card. I wish I had space for like a second switching card, like a second switch card basically. But it's rough. There's gonna be times where you're gonna want to have this though, and that's another benefit with Darkrai V-Star. At least if I had that, you sort of have the option to maybe get a second switch outlet with his effect. Anywho, Trekking Shoe is a little bit of a speedy item-based draw. I can't max it out because we have slots for other cards. It can only be 60 at the end of the day. I mean, what am I gonna take out? I want to have 4 stadiums. I did have 5, but I had to drop a Town Store too. 5 is just too much. But the idea with this is that it can let me grab a tool, and then I'm gonna want to play this down when I know I'm gonna do 220 with Salamence, so I can just get it out of the way. My opponent can't utilize it, and you get that free search. There's not really much point doing Path to the Peak, even though it's not really gonna affect us. I mean, yeah, but it's just you want to be getting rid of stadiums, and it's just if you're gonna get rid of the stadium, you know, Path to the Peak isn't really gonna put in work. I did see people use that, but it just doesn't make sense to me to run it. And then in other decks, if you're gonna use Darkrai V-Star, it doesn't make sense, or Moltres. So I don't get it, but anyway, we're not gonna run Path to the Peak. And then one Cycling Road. Had to craft this card, but this is another card that's going to give me a little bit of draw. Discard a basic energy and then draw a card. So it's something, plus to get that stadium out for the bonus damage. And I believe that's it. All that's left is the supporters now. So the card that sort of makes Salamence work is this supporter bitch, Sada's Vitality. This is another sort of variant of Welder, so it's pretty good. We get 2 energies, and they're from the discard pile, and you gotta put them to your ancient Pokemon. It has to be 2 different Pokemon, otherwise you're only gonna get 1 energy. So it sort of becomes like Melanie that way. So you wanna have 2 of the Roaring Moons down at least, so you always get that plus. Or even like the Mushroom Dude, the Bonnet Among Us basically. So you get the max value. So between this and the Dark Patches, you shouldn't have too much trouble getting the Darkness Energies in your attacker. And this works on the active Pokemon too, so it's nice. Nothing else to add. I mean, we favor this. My other supporter cards are Iono, max this out for Disruption and Solid Joy in the beginning. And then I got one of the Lady as well. Get those Darkness Energies in hand, and I can just discard more shit with Ultra Ball. The Earthen Vessels. I mean, it might seem overkill, but you'd be surprised how much you're gonna deplete your hand, even if you use this. Like if you got the Ultra Ball, that's 2 down. Greninja, you know, discard 1 more, or you're gonna use the Earthen Vessel. So, you know, sometimes if you're not gonna want energies, this isn't gonna be the supporter you want to use. But this is why I've got the Luminions as well. It's just gonna help us to get it early if I want to do that, or when I want to use it. So I got it basically. I know a lot of people wouldn't run this in this deck, but that's how I roll for now. And then last thing is boss's orders. Use it at the right time, win the game. Pretty simple. And this is my deck. It's a little bit thin on the supporters. I mean, it's 9 at the end of the day. It's not that thin. But it can be a bit problematic when we run Trekitions. Or actually, never mind, it's 10 with the lady. So it's not that thin. I mean, I've got the Luminions too, but sometimes you are going to brick, unfortunately. I don't want to run things like Professor Research in this deck because there's just way too many things I don't want to discard. I don't want to be discarding the Dark Patches. I don't want to be discarding this. I guess that's what Pal Pad is for. But in the first place, this is the main supporter we want to be using. We don't want to be using Research, you know, to just mass draw. I guess you can power up your guys with Dark Patch, but it's just different sort of play styles and build philosophies that you can try with this deck. There's all sorts of ways to do it. I mean, it didn't work out that well for me with Darkrai V-Star. I would brick more often, and yeah. I decided might as well favor Luminion more, and we got the stone seal shit anyway. And this is just a good way to get the vitality much easier, more consistently. So it helps in this regard too. Okay, and this is how I got the deck for now. Energies is just 12 darkness energies, pretty simple. We got a lot because we're going to be discarding a lot and we don't want to miss our manual attachments. And this is the deck. I'm going to show you guys more matches with it, of course. I hope you look forward to them. Subscribe to the channel, leave a like, share the video with your friends, and I'll see you guys next time. What-ay?